Something I think there's a lot of people are going live. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic podcast. I'm really excited about my guest tonight. He's one of my favorites. He comes on my show all the time, and it's my brother Ra Castaldo. Honestly, like Ra's like a really good friend of mine. We have a lot in common, so we're really good friends behind camera too. We were having technical difficulty, guys. I'm really sorry. Like we wanted to show you guys these pictures. Ra has these pictures of real ghosts, like real entities, like real Nephilim entities, and I can pull them up on my phone. I have them, but we were trying to figure out how to show it to you guys on the computer, and like there's something wrong with the internet right now. Like Ra's internet is
Yeah.
really slow. My internet is slow. My theory is I don't think it's just our computers. I think it's a lot of people go live around this time. So like the internet's heavy. It's a heavy time for a lot of people to be online. But a little bit more about my guest. Rex Aldo is an esoteric researcher, psychic seer, and he has Strega lineage. Born inside the caul with a rare birth condition historically associated with prophetic and psychic abilities, Ra has spent decades studying ancient traditions, mythology, occult sciences, and plasma physics. Through his research and teachings on his platform, Exploring the Caul with Ra, he investigates the hidden connections between ancient civilizations, cosmic energies, mythology, and consciousness. His work often bridges spiritual traditions with emerging ideas in plasma physics and energetic cosmology, offering unique perspectives on forgotten knowledge embedded within ancient cultures. And tonight we're going to be getting into the Nephilim ghost and the pillars of the goddess Diana. So buckle up, guys. It's going to be awesome. And with all that said, I'd like to give him a big warm welcome back to the show. Rod, thanks so much for coming back on, man. How are you?
Thank you, bro. That might have been the best intro. I don't think I could write a better freaking intro for myself. That was amazing, dude. That was incredible. That was a great intro. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, man. The Chat GPT helps. Like but yeah, like so. Where are we starting tonight? This sounds really interesting. Like you had those encounters with
Yeah.
those Nephilim forest spirits. What is that? Like, what was that? Like,
So I guess I should start with what are the Nephilim and what are the Rephaim and what are the giants first of all, and why are there ghosts of these giants? Well, it states in the Bible and in various writings that concern the biblical giants, like the Nephilim and the offspring of the Nephilim, like various post-flood giants as well. Like you have the Rephaim before the flood and after the flood. You have the Amalekites. You have the Zamzumim, the Horites, the Elamites. I mean, there's so many different the Ammonites. There's so many different tribes of giants. The Phoenicians, but it states that when these beings die, when they perish, they can't enter heaven. They're doomed to forever be like wandering ghosts, sort of like never sleep. Sort of, they're not permitted to enter heaven, and they're not permitted to have rest or sleep. So they are like wandering ghosts. And for my work, I'm proposing that these tribes, they basically functioned as technicians of sacred monuments and pillars at specific geomagnetic coordinates on our planet to facilitate communicating or even feeding between the earthly realm and the other realms, like in our magnetosphere, other realms of light around us and within our planetary system, right? And when these beings die, especially sacrifices at these locations as well,
yeah,
right? They were making sacrifices at these locations and even creating offspring at these locations. And these are high energy moments where they're having an action between human ritual and our geomagnetic grid, right? So they're literally making these gigantic pillars to communicate with the light around us and within the universe, right? And there's spots on our geomagnetic grid line that are open to communicating with what's around our planet, right? Well, our planet is surrounded by what in mythology they call the heavens or the hell or the underworld or the other world, right? In 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 Hindu they call it Patala. In Egypt they call it the Duat. In Hebrew they call it the Gehenna, right? There's all these different words and terms they have for the underworld, but if you look into plasma physics, it literally maps perfectly to the journey that the soul takes when it's leaving our planet and going in to the next world, right? The other world. And that's basically what we have to do. Our light body, our light is communicating with the light of the universe, right? And around our planet is a magnetized environment with swirling plasma inside of it, right? And that is a gateway to other worlds, to leave this world. Like when we die, it's like the ancients had their goal to enter into this realm, to become immortalized, and to remember and to reclaim their divine essence and become like a god, right? Yeah.
Question, Rob. Was this what the Nordics would have called Valhalla?
Yeah, that's one of the regions, right? So you have all these different regions that are mapped out within our magnetosphere. You have the day side and the night side, right? Even like it's basically like coming up out of the North Pole, you have a magnetic pillar, a magnetic mountain of light, right? Like a Jacob's ladder or a Mount Olympus, right? And yeah, I mean, it's what was your question again about the
I said,
one thing you mentioned?
I said, is this like, is that, yeah, I just basically said, was this what the Nordics would call Valhalla, I guess? Like,
Yeah.
is it what they
So
thought it was the afterlife?
yeah, so you have all these regions that they describe in mythology, right? Different layers of I think densities you can look at it as, right? All these different layers that exist, and you can map them out as different rivers and streams that exist within our magnetotail, right? There's different gates and pathways that the soul has to travel through, the light body has to travel through. And in mythology, the journey through the duat, or the underworld, involves you overcoming these gates and these streams, these rivers of light. And they're different separate layers or sheets that the soul and plasma entities, which a soul is, must cross, right? And you have it depicted in all different cultures. Like you have sky pillars that are representing that pathway of the soul, the pathway of light out of this planet. You have in the Bible, you have Jacob's ladder, where souls ascend up and down. It's a ladder of light going right up, up, and that's basically like a magnetic mountain, a pillar of light. And it aligns with plasma physics. It aligns with the polar cusps, right? These are funnel shaped openings in the Earth's magnetic field, where solar wind right from the sun and plasma can pour directly into our planet, right? Opens right up out of our planet. It opens up like a funnel, right? And that's where the light pours in, right? So you could look at the North Pole as our planet, and the South Pole. These are like heaven and hell areas, right? And they open up like funnels to receive the light coming in. And these pillars were literally set up as models to communicate with that light that's pouring in the planet, right? And they were set up on specific magnetic anomaly locations to better tap into what's in the ionosphere and the light that's coming in, right? In the magnetosphere. And they're even depicted, like I could show you, different like here's one. This was a gold. This is from a gold ring that was found in Gnosis, and it shows the pillar erected, and then you have this floating being with these rays of light coming in, and he's holding a staff, and you got a female worshiper, right? Very interesting, depictions here describing what I'm talking about, right? It's a pathway of souls, and all of this discussing here, and it's a you have this all over the ancient past. And different beings like the jinn, these are beings of smokeless fire. These are non-terrestrial plasma life forms that inhabit the Van Allen belts and our plasmasphere, our magnetosphere around our planet, and they enter into Earth through magnetic reconnection events within our magnetosphere. This is when coronal mass ejections come in, and magnetic field lines they stretch out. See, there's different types of magnetic reconnection events that's described all over ancient writings. We did a show last time about the sky god Viracocha, where he's holding the the two opposing serpents when he's about to twist them together to open up the burst of light, right? There's also, this is the spot in the magnetosphere where they're asking the souls to go to, where there's magnetic reconnection events that create the auroras and all of this, right? So magnetic reconnection on the sun forms from when magnetic field lines twist around each other and knot together and form a burst, a loop, like an ankh. But the ones that happen in our magnetosphere, they happen from that coronal mass ejection coming from the sun and entering into the magnetosphere around Earth, and they stretch out on the night side and then break apart and snap back and create auroras during that event, right? So all of that is described intimately as in when these beings or these jinn are created, right? And they enter into our Earth through these events, through these unseen forces or these shadow beings, when they interact with the human neural plasma, the brain, right? Like literally these forces, this unseen energy that, you know, they interact with the light of our thoughts, the light of our biophotons, the plasma that comes out of us, right? And it's really powerful. And I'm proposing that, you know, the Naragi civilizations of Sardinia, the Minoan sky pillars, the sky pillars of Diana by the Phoenicians and by the ancient Greeks and ancient Italy, and all these were well aware of the power of you know, feeding between the earthly realm and the realm of the magnetosphere, right? Because that's where all the information's coming in from the sun, right? All the codes are coming in, all the light, and this is how souls, plasma, right, and plasma entities. I mean, I'm talking about beings of light as well as our souls. This is how they get into our planet from the magnetosphere, right? So you have these spiraling pillars and these cosmic pillars that are meant to help facilitate this and a worldwide grid of this.
Wow, that's dude, that's fascinating, man. Like that's insane. So like, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
We're
they
getting,
they you know, to the ancient observer, the ancient shaman, there was periods of extreme high solar activity, and they could be visible as these shimmering vertical pillars of heaven that they would see. And they were setting up these pillars of light on earth as models, as representations, right? And they were doing sacrifices at these locations, dude. A lot of them, like for different reasons, a lot of different times, right? So they would there's places set up all over the planet, almost all over the United States, that has been just thousands of years forgotten as well, like all over our planet, not just in Sardinia and all these other exotic places to us, but right here in the Hudson Valley of New York, right in where you live, right all over the United States. They had spots that are long forgotten, that are probably we couldn't even see. Maybe if we could see from a you know, from a satellite, and you could see like certain, but there's long civilizations that are long forgotten, you know, in the rubble. And we had sites all over our planet. So I started to explore some of these locations where stone chambers are, megalithic sites are, and stone pillars are, and stone chambers are, all over the Hudson Valley and our area. And you know, when I started getting deep into the Nephilim and research about different tribes of giants, and I've been doing a monthly show with Gary Wayne for over 10 years, right? So there's a point where I was really getting into the research. I had to take a step back because it started seeping in to my dreams, my other things and stuff like that. And I started to investigate some of these locations. And the pictures that you were going to show, I could pull it up on my phone maybe and show it here if people could see it. But I'm not going to give the exact location because I don't want people to go through what I went through, but I was investigating an area where you have ancient stone pillars right in my area, right in my area. And there's an ancient not ancient. There's the battlefield is not ancient. The battlefield is from the 1700s. We have a battlefield over here, the Stony Point battlefield, right? It's not far from that location where I had this experience. And there's old stone circle with pillars that is like probably very, very old, not far from that location in the woods, long forgotten. And I was investigating that location. And I mean, the Battle of Stony Point that took place over there was pretty intense. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it was during George Washington times. All around my area is very, very historic. And
Yeah.
right over here took place the Battle of Stony Point, bro. It was incredible. So this was a battle where in the middle of the night they took hatchets. It was like a hatchet fight, dude. So check this out. The British had taken over this area where on the Stony Point, where the Stony Point Lighthouse is. It's a strategic spot that looks out. You could see down to the George Washington Bridge. It's right on the Hudson River, right at a strategic peak on the Hudson River. And even in the nuclear point, Indian Point, the nuclear power plant is right across the street. I mean, that's on a strategic location. It's right across the river from there. And the British had taken over that location. So the United States, they wanted to take this spot back. So like 3 or 4 days before their midnight. So the British were camped up in tents right where the lighthouse is on that peak. And the General George Washington appointed a guy called Mad Anthony Wayne, General Anthony Wayne, Mad Anthony Wayne, right? So he took a couple of days before his midnight attack. he went and got rid of all the dogs in the area, so there would be no barking. All the dogs at homes and stuff, he killed all the dogs. He got rid of them all because they were going to make this midnight attack on the British with no muskets, right? They were going to use hatchets and bayonets. So they wanted to come in silence like gangsters. So they literally crawled up the side of the hill, the mountain.
Holy shit, dude!
They attacked the British in their tents with hatchets. Over 70 people died that night. Some were taken as prisoners, and that's right here, a stone's throw from where I live. So where I had this experience with those ghostly pictures, it's right 34, not too far from there in the woods there, where there's old stone pillars, right? So I was investigating that area, and all of a sudden, dude, I felt just this impending doom. I didn't see anything, but I felt like I was about to get attacked. You know, like when you feel like somebody's about to rush up behind you and hit you or something like that. You have that feeling, right?
Yeah.
You get that. It's like, you know, it's almost like in the jungle or in the woods when an animal has this sense that a predator's around, they can feel it, right? I had that kind of feeling. Like I knew I was about to, like a predator was around. I felt like some doom. So it got so incredibly potent that I started to run out of the woods, like literally run, right? I was running out of the woods. I cleared the tree line and my car was parked on the road right there about, I don't know, 50 feet from the tree line. So when I got to my car door, about to open my car door, I turned around and I snapped the picture. And that's the picture that I snapped. And you could see like, dude, it's like a 10-foot giant man with like an admiral hat on. And then when the other picture, I kind of played with the light to pull out more. And you can see all around it seems like even bigger dudes in the picture, like even taller, these black ghostly figures. It was pretty incredible, dude. And it seemed like he couldn't leave the tree line. Like he stopped right at the tree line. Yeah. Pretty intense, dude. Pretty
intense. Like they haunt the forest or something. Like they haunt the forest. Like, so do you think those Nephilim giants could have been around in those days of George Washington? Or do you think they were even they were even doing it then? You know?
I think they're bro, the Nephilim original giants and the Rephaim and all these different tribes, they are part of what's the aboriginal tribes of our planet. They are very ancient, right? Very ancient. We call it Nephilim in Hebrew, but they go back to even the Asura and the Deva tribes. I mean, some of these beings are very ancient. They've been roaming this planet for eons, for maybe millions of years. Maybe millions of years. Right? So it's a very old energy, and they've given
Holy shit, man.
This is the same unseen forces that has given us spiritual information that keeps us chasing our tails, and technologies that keeps us spiritually not ascending, stuff to keep us like this is what happens. Like, some of the ancient knowledge was misused in rituals to keep us very low and controlled, and what they call an Asuric race, right? Enchanted by materialism, enchanted by power and greed, easily drug addicted, easily controlled, and easily manipulated, but ultimately a very spiritual people, right? But they've been manipulated. Their materialism has become their spirituality, right? So we've been manipulated and controlled, and we've been given rituals to keep us controlled. I mean, we're been given knowledge and words and things that hold power, but when you don't use them appropriately, and they're being misused and mistranslated, they create abominations, right? So when you have a powerful word or a powerful symbol and it's being misused and mistranslated, it creates a whole other, it'll still hold power, but it's an abomination of what it should be, right? And that's what all happened with all these sacrifice rituals and all these belief systems and all these gods that were never meant to be gods, all these things that were worshipped that in the past. They've created abominations all over the planet. And there's all sorts of things that get transmitted from what's around our planet into our atmosphere, and people don't realize exactly what they are, and they look at it at just a scientific aspect when they see auroras and when they see certain things. The ancient Native Americans understood their auroras as spirits, literally. Like, you can even look in the Arctic, the Eskimos, they call them the manitos, the spirits of the sky, right? So these are literally plasma life forms that get created during magnetic reconnection events in our magnetosphere. And they enter Earth through these events, and they appear as these unseen forces or shadow beings when they interact with our brain and within our bioenergetic being, right? So it's really powerful. This is why the plasma physics and all of that is really important, because there's a spiritual connotation as well to it. And when they're in plasma physics, talking about like these sacrifices and the Nephilim and the jinn being these like plasma ghosts, basically, these smokeless fire, right? It's perfect metaphor for plasma. In plasma physics, you have the Bose-Einstein condensate. It's a high energy plasmoid that could theoretically maintain a coherent structure, right? Now, if sacrifices, these releases of all this energy occurred at these magnetic hotspots on our planet, where these sky pillars are erected, I'm suggesting that there's a localized interaction between human ritual and our geomagnetic grid that is very powerful and needs to be examined. And the jinn or the pari is another being. They're in mythology, they're described as beings of this smokeless fire. And in my model, in my work, these represent the non-terrestrial plasma life forms that inhabit the magnetosphere, the Van Allen belts, our plasmasphere, and they enter through these events, and they are very powerful influence on the human thought and human activity, and people don't realize that. You could call them archons, you can call them whatever you want to call them, but they're definitely related to being different types of species of plasma. I don't know if you want to jump in for a second or anything.
Wow, man, that's insane. And then how does the pillars of the goddess Diana in this? Like,
yeah, these are one of the locations where these are one of the locations where the sky pillars of Diana are one of the objects. Like, see, we can't show pictures, but so let me show you what some of them look like. I could show you here. Like, some of these pillars are incredibly high tech as well, and they were set up all over different spots all over the planet. Jupiter columns is another one. There's the sky pillars of Diana. You have the Minoan pillars. You have Sardinia pillars, the Phoenicians. Like, check this one out. Hold on. And they're basically like sort of like soul ladders. Check out how intricate this one is.
That's insane. Yeah.
That's one of the Diana pillars. And you can see sometimes they even have this ring around it, like it's a pillar coming out of the north crown, the North Pole, and all of these aurora lights coming down from it. Very interesting stuff. It's very interesting when you look at how the soul journey. Some of them are even elaborate like this, the rings around it, right? And then some of them look like that. And then and then they start becoming like the torch of light that you see even with the Statue of Liberty. These spiraling pillars of light. And they were erected sometimes with tree symbolism as well. These branches of light. They're basically trees of light. And some of them look like this. Spiraling pillars. And you could see when they worship it around the ring like that, you could see the pillar of fire, where you have the fiery emanations coming out of the pillar on top and people standing in a ring around it.
That's amazing.
Yep. And these locations are heavily filled with all types of ghosts, good and bad. So you have all types of unseen forces around us all the time. And unfortunately, we've lost the coordinates to the afterlife. I do believe that this is one of the main reasons why Jesus has returned and will return again, is to point the coordinates to heaven. I firmly believe that. And I'm going to be doing a show Saturday with Gary Wayne discussing all the biblical verses that discuss Jesus before he arrived and how he is going to arrive in from the winds of heaven, from the light coming from the sun. All right. That's he's going to arrive this way. And it discusses it in a lot of different verses. So it's very important that we understand the weather, the energetic weather coming from the sun, right? And how it affects the spiritual domain of humanity. Yeah, the Sardinia ones, they're some of the most incredible. If anybody ever gets a chance to research Sardinia, some of the and even in Lebanon, and it seems like when we go to war, these pillars directly relate to obelisks. Obelisks are literally called in ancient Egypt the tekenu, which are rays of petrified light. Right? And you got obelisks almost 100% of the time in ancient Egypt are made out of red granite. Same as a lot of the megaliths that I've gone to, megaliths all over the world. And when you check this out, so when you have something made out of granite, like an obelisk, granite has high quantities of two things: magnetite, which forms its own magnetic fields, and quartz crystal, right? Now, quartz crystal records energy, right? It records energy, and it also is piezoelectric. So check this out. When you have a monument, whether it's a obelisk or it's a dolmen, and it's ascending towards the sky like that, and it's made out of granite, and a lot of times these spots are made, they're put on spots where natural shocks and vibrations are generated. Like, so if you got an obelisk and there's running water underneath the ground beneath it, that's going to make little shocks and vibrations happen that makes the quartz rub together inside the granite, which makes it start to rub together and form the piezoelectric properties, and the light opens up from the stone, right? Because the piezoelectric, if I could take two pieces of quartz and show you right now, I rub them together, it sparks, light spark, it creates an electric current, right? So when you have all that quartz within the granite, and you got spots that are above, you got pillars or obelisks that are above fault lines or above running water, or a lot of different places that have natural shocks and vibrations generated, or they actually create shocks and vibrations by doing ringed dances around these pillars, generating the shocks and vibrations in the ground, which makes the quartz rub together in the ground and opens up the piezoelectric electric current. Now, when you open up electric current, you can put intentions into it, you can put thoughts into it, and you can put frequencies into it. Our military uses it. You know, we used to be able to do it ourselves. You could have went a couple of 10 years ago. You could have went to Radio Shack. 20 years ago, went to Radio Shack and bought a crystal oscillator. Right? That's what crystal oscillators do. They squeeze quartz, and then you could put a ELF wave or EMF wave into it and broadcast a frequency. Right? So this is what they're doing at these spots. They're generating an electric current through the quartz and the granite, and then, putting thoughts and intentions, and they're literally creating a pillar of light to connect literally with the rays of light on the sun. And you'll have these spots where they're archaeoastronomy alignments, where on winter solstice morning, a ray of light will come in the sun and directly align with that ray of light of the obelisk, right? Or the ray of light of the dolmen, or what have you, right? Really incredible. So I'm glad you brought that up, because it made me go down a rabbit hole I needed to bring up. Thank you, Eric. That's really, really good question you asked there. Yeah. So, yeah. What were you gonna say?
One thing you were mentioning before we got to that question, you were saying, like, when we go to war, you were starting to talk about Lebanon and Sardinia, and you said, you said something about when we go to war, like, I don't know, like,
we attack these locations. Whenever these megalithic spots, we always bombard them in times of war. Like when we're in times of war in the 80s, where do we go right away and start bombing? Golan Heights. What's in Golan Heights? Mount Hermon and about 100 dolmens, 1,000 friggin' megalithic sites. You got the burial place you got the stone circle called the Gilgal Rephaim, the stone circle of the wildcats. This is where King Og was said to be buried, right? One of the most incredible spots on the planet is Golan Heights. And this is a spot of war, right? We've been bombing that area. In Vietnam, why did we bomb the Plain of Jars in Laos? That had nothing to do with anything. The Plain of Jars is this huge plain of megalithic jars, right? And we bombed it for what? Destroying all these megalithic, right? When you want to eliminate, when you want to eliminate a race, what you do is you ruin their ancient past, you ruin their monuments, their religious monuments, then you enslave the men until they can no longer work, they die of enslavement, and you rape and destroy the women so they can't reproduce, right? So what are we doing right now in war? We're attacking the women, right? Enslaving the men, killing the men, attacking the women, right? And killing all the monuments. That's how you erase something from history. Deface their monuments, destroy their women, and enslave their men, right? So this is what's happening. This is the Asura. This is the Asura blueprint, the Nephilim blueprint. This is nothing new. This has been happening since the beginning of time on this planet. Yeah.
Wow. So do you like when it comes to this stuff? Do you feel like these are pre-planned out, like by entities or something, or like forces, bigger forces than just governments and stuff like that?
That's a good question. I do think like they're using the Bible as like a play, a script, and they're playing it out. Right there, we're. I mean, right now we're at the time where they're throwing missiles right at the temple. It's one of them's going to destroy it, right? And then the third temple is going to be built. You have in the Bible they talk about how Persia is going to go to war with Israel, and then they translate as the North, like Russia is going to come help, and then there's going to be like a 7-year peace with the Antichrist figure that arises. Well, Persia is Iran. That's not too hard to connect right there, and so we're right at where it's like all that's falling into place. All right. So what it basically they translate that is Iran and Israel going to go to war. Israel's almost going to be destroyed, and then Russia's going to come and help Iran as well. Then there's going to be like a 7-year period of peace that arises through an Antichrist figure. So we haven't had that yet. So I think we're at that point where it's when Iran, Persia attacks Israel. That's the part in the Bible we're at right now when it comes to prophecy. And I think when we start seeing like someone arise that's going to bring peace for 7 years, we should start really making, really taking notice. Yeah. And supposedly there's going to be like someone who survives a mortal head wound that comes back. Many people interpret that a different ways. So we'll see what happens.
This is a good question. He says they say Turkey is next. Like they want to, they're going after Turkey. Like, what do you think is like? There's a lot. There's a lot. Turkey's. Well, what's interesting about Turkey is it's the land bridge between Asia and Europe. Like, it's the only bridge that connects 2 continents around the world. You can be on one side and be. Sorry, go ahead.
That's a very intelligent point, dude. I'm glad you said that. That's true. And also that's probably
what's in Turkey. Like,
Turkey has all the oldest megalithics, the oldest stone circle. You got Göbekli Tepe. You got all those sites. You got Mount Nemrut. You got all these ancient sites there. All there. So yeah, that's probably the reason why. I would say that's the reason why. And we have regions that are being protected on our planet that are very important, especially in the Himalayas. And there's monks protecting these regions, and we have caves supposedly where there's giants that are in stasis in these caves. And if you want to get a good book that talks about an expedition that they had in the 1990s, it was by Dr. Ernst Moldyshev. You got to get that. I have the book. It's Dr. Ernst Moldyshev I think he's still alive. He's probably in his 70s now or so, maybe even older. But he's he's like a world-renowned ophthalmologist, eye doctor, right? And he even has some patents on eye surgeries. But I think he had done a favor for a Tibetan monk and saved somebody's eyesight in his family, or did something where he was given favors by these Tibetan monks, and he went on an expedition into the Himalayas, and he was brought to a cave where he couldn't go too far in because the people that brought him there wouldn't go past a certain point, but he decided to go even further. And when he got as close as he can get, there was this force that just brought him to his knees, like an evil that made him, like, it almost killed him, like literally brought him to his knees and was like shaking him to his core, this evil impending doom. And what he saw in this cave was all these spots carved out into the wall with massive beings sitting in lotus pose in a stasis, alive but not aging, and very ancient. Long hair, long fingernails, some of them very elongated heads, and some of them massive. And they were in some sort of yoga pose, like in a samadhi, in some sort of enlightenment sort of ecstasy vision, where they're not aging. They're just in this samadhi stasis. And he couldn't get too close to it because like he was chased out of it by an evil force, sort of like the force that I encountered in the forest, but it sounded way more strong than that. And supposedly there's monks that guard these caves that no one was allowed like how to find access to it. And they're within the Himalayas. And supposedly the Nazis were trying to find them back in the day too.
Wow, that's fascinating, dude. This is really good. Yeah.
Up near Mount Kailash in there. You can look up the expedition of Dr. Ernst Moldashev. Dr. Moldashev. I think it was in the 90s. I read the book, like I have it. I think I have it in the other room. I read the book like 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. Really interesting. I mean, I don't know if it's completely true, but I've had visions.
Wow.
I've had visions that are aligned with this. I go look on my YouTube. I did one of the very first videos I ever did on my YouTube channel, probably like 8 or 9 years ago, was giants awakening from stasis, because I was having these dreams. Because when I research something, like you said in my intro, I was born in the caul. I have this extrasensory abilities I've had ever since my birth. I was born, and it's doesn't make me better than anyone else. Actually, it's gotten me in trouble most of my life. In fact, it ain't been easy having this. And most of the stuff that comes to me, I have to keep to myself. Right. And so I started working on translating Ugaritic writings and Sanskrit, which is the language of the Nephilim, the ancient tribes. It's the language of the gods. All these different works that I was doing, I was starting to have really intense visions and dreams and things coming to me related to giants and Nephilim. And I was having these like PTSD visions of beings awakening from a stasis. And some of them had these circular things around their ears, like the Queen of Leche, the Queen of Elche, I think it is, in Ecuador. You ever see that? In Ecuador, that statue where this woman has these things around her ears that look mechanical. The Lady of Elche, I think her name is the Lady of Elche.
No, what is it? No, what? No, it is.
When I saw them in the vision, they had something similar around their ears. Here, I'll show you what I mean. The Lady of Elche is this. Look. Can you see? Rob.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah, what is that? Yeah. Like, what is that? Like, what do you think that is?
But it seems like be some mechanical headdress, right? Like a technology. And I don't know, man. I saw that in the vision that I had. I talked about it, man, 8 or 9 years ago. And it could be related to keeping them in a stasis. Who knows? And what's interesting is
holy shit, man. That's man, this is really good stuff, man. Like
what's
someone said there's a massive ancient
sorry, remember Star Wars? Princess Leia, her hair is very similar to that. Right? And
yeah,
the woman of the Hopi tribe would also do that as well. They might have been mimicking what they saw from these ancient beings.
Wow.
You ever see the Hopi women with their? I'll show you.
Does anybody have any? Yeah.
See, look, this is the Hopi women, how they did their hair. Check this out.
Like Princess oh my God.
Yeah, these are the Hopi.
They were mimicking that. Do you think they were trying to use it as like an antenna or something like that?
I think you're right. I think it has to do something like that, dude. It has to do with, being more telepathic and receiving the light.
Because you know why? I want to say that we have a delay. Sorry, that's what it doesn't. We're not talking over each other, guys. It's like we have a weird delay.
There is a weird
it's like
delay
that on StreamYard. But what I was going to say, Roz, like if you hear those stories about the real women, Yeah, you know when people talk about the stories of the real women, like they say that the real women kept their hair long because they felt like it helped them tap into the psychic powers. I wonder if it's the same thing with these women. Like maybe they wore their hair like that, like a psychic antenna, like kind of like how you just said. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. And since I've had long hair I've had long hair since COVID started. I haven't gone I haven't got a haircut since COVID basically. Uh I've felt like I've had even more psychic abilities from the long hair. So, and my hair is pretty long. It goes down to the middle of my back. It's pretty long.
Holy shit!
I got long. Yeah, I wear it back so
Wow,
people you can't really see when I'm on
we
camera,
got some
but
new people in the chat.
yeah.
Aussie Andrews in the chat.
Yeah, I got very long
Yeah,
hair. I just you can't see it on video usually.
yeah. You know, people are reacting to it in the chat. There's like Black Feather in the Wind. Michelle's in the chat. She says our hair is an antenna, and then Eric in the chat says he says the law of one says 4 inches or longer acts as an antenna.
I would agree. I would agree.
It's
I've
pretty
had I had
interesting, right? So they agree
yeah,
with you. Yeah.
I had short hair for about 40 years. For the last 7-8 years I've had long hair, and I would agree that so I had short hair for a long time. So I would agree that the long hair does act a little bit more as an antenna.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a second. I mean, um,
I mean, I could
oh,
go
this
I
is
could go
really
way
interesting. This is
I mean,
from
I could
David
go
Helms. This is a really good comment.
I mean, I could go more into like the technical stuff with like different plasma physics, but I don't want to. I don't want to. Most people probably won't understand what I'm talking about. I don't want to bore people, so I wanted to keep it more interesting and some of my own personal experiences that I had. Because I've had some experiences with all sorts of beings throughout my life, in telepathic and in this and in 3D reality as well. Because I do feel like possession is a real thing, and
It is. It's
there,
really interesting, man.
yeah.
It's like next level stuff. You know what I mean? Like this really is like this is next level information. You know, like
For sure. For sure. For sure.
if you guys got any questions for Rob, put them in the chat. You know, and sorry about the connection, guys. I don't know what's up. I think it's Mercury retrograde. I think it's messing with people big time. I think it's messing with us today big time. Like I really truly do believe that. You know, like I don't know, like it's weird. You know, we're getting like weird interference. Like like it's been the whole podcast like since before we tried to connect, and now we're having
Yeah.
issues. You know,
Yep,
I don't
dude.
know why.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like there's a weird delay going on, and it's messed up. But you know what? We'll get through it. We'll go for a little bit longer and stuff. I developed through.
I think he froze, guys. I'm not sure. Let me try to remove him from the. I think he froze, guys. And can you guys see me? Can you guys hear me? I just removed him from the stage because his picture froze. You know, man, this is. I feel so bad, man. Like I feel so bad for Raw. Like he's trying to, like for for you guys, for everyone. Here he goes. He's back.
Is it better? I lost service for a second.
This is crazy,
Yeah,
man. This is insane. You know.
it really is. Now I got better service than I had before. Something just happened. Yeah, it's clearer now, right?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, maybe not. Is it clear
It's
now?
better now. Yeah.
Yeah.
You totally froze up before. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like a clear connection now. I can see even the video's clearer. It looks better. Yeah. What the hell was I saying? Yeah, so
Yeah.
I developed a few products that it came to me. I got like the vision to how to do certain things and what to call them. So a couple of the things that I recommend people is my Heal Shield. It's called Heal HEAL, which stands for Harmonic Evolutionary Altruistic Light. And what I do is I wrap royal cubit and different cubit measurements of copper, twisted copper around piezoelectric material and other EMF protection material like shungite and different things like that. So, like this is one that I just made today. This is out of collector's grade shungite, and with the royal cubit copper coil, the beautiful twisted, really
That's
nice
dope,
short
man.
twisted. Yep, this is a royal cubit copper coil around the elite noble shungite. Really powerful. This is one of my heal shields for EMF protection. And I make products to help you get out of the fog. Basically, we have all sorts of unseen forces around us. If you use typical Skeptic 12, you get 12% off. And Rob is an affiliate. So definitely use that coupon code. You get 12% off of already on sale items as well. And I got all sorts of products that are also piezoelectric, like quartz and different piezoelectric material that I have the copper coils around that open up that electric current where you can put thoughts and intentions into them, and you can open up that light, that inner light within you and that inner light within the stone. And it really is like a walking amulet, really, really powerful. And like this one I've been wearing, you can actually look, you can see the green screen in it because it's green. This is malachite. Look at that. That's crazy. This is malachite that I got wrapped around my neck, but you can see it looks like the green screen because of it's green. That's pretty dope. Even here, right there, the green alien, you can see my green screen in it.
That's
Pretty
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got all sorts of carvings too.
Oh, yeah.
We carve our own things
That's
like
cool, man.
palm stones. We got everything. I wonder if you're going to have this problem with your other guest, or is it just my internet?
I don't have another show tonight. I'm going on someone else's show. I'm going on Barbara from Light Talk show tonight. I have it's because we're having a conference here in Pittsburgh, and I'm live streaming the conference. It's in April, so we're doing a show with Mark Eddy for that. Like after this at like 9 p.m. or something. Like I don't know if they're using. I can't remember if they're using StreamYard or what. I think they are using StreamYard, but like I wonder if other people are having like internet issues as well. Like it's weird,
it's brutal.
it's really bad, So
yeah. Well, in the Bible, to get back to the Nephilim and stuff,
like
it's sorry, I'm sorry. It sucks the delay. We're cutting each other off. We don't mean to. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the Bible, it talks about how there were giants in the earth in those days and also afterwards in Genesis 6. All right. So they're indicating that there were gigantic beings after the flood as well. And this is related to all the tribes that we see, right? The Anakim is one of them. The Anakim were descended from the Nephilim. And there were other of these aboriginal prehistoric giants like the Rephaim, the Amalekites, the Horites, the Emim, the Zamzumum, and Amalek of the Amalekites. Amalek is said to have been, and this is in the Bible. You can look in Numbers verse 24. One of the lines in Numbers 24 was the Reshith, the first Reshith of the nations. Right, this was, and the Horite, all these spots that we have in Arabia Petra, where all these temples are built, carved right out of the rock. Who do you think excavated all of these rock dwellings in Arabia Petra? And how did these tribes know to go to those areas where these previous tribes have excavated? and for them to inhabit it. These were ancient metropolises of giants that existed in these areas with super advanced heightened senses. When you have somebody much larger, like it would be superhuman sight, superhuman telepathic abilities, superhuman smell, superhuman everything. Like a grizzly bear compared to us is supernatural. Well, a giant human would be similarly supernatural. So, you know, them being at these spots doing sacrifices and all of these rituals that we're doing were powerful energy moments, right? And they made these huge locations on magnetic anomalies most often, right? Where these pillars were erected or these temples were erected, most often on magnetic anomalies as well, right? And if you look in Arabia Petra, where giants inhabited for many centuries upon centuries, you know, that was an area where there was a metropolis of tribes of giants, right? And the Horites and the Edomites, right? They occupied this area, Mount Seir in the Bible. It's Seir, Mount Seir, right? And they were, you know, these Amalekites were probably the original excavators of these dwellings, which then you had the Horites living at, the Edomites. You know, they after the flood, they reestablished those same metropolises that were held by their ancestors pre-flood, right? Really interesting stuff. And the Horites were, you know, there were giants. There were giants in them, and they had all sorts of incredible. I mean, they excavated all that rock out of Arabia Petra. There's no doubt about that, you know, and really powerful stuff, dude. Yeah, let me know if anybody's got questions in the chat room. And you know, those giant races like the Anakim.
Yeah, guys, has anybody got any questions?
Yeah, and those giant races like the Anakim and the Rephaim, they're descended from the prehistoric and aboriginal Nephilim, right? That we see in Genesis 6 and in Numbers 13 in the Bible. And of the Rephaim, we're told that their capital was in Bashan, King Og, right? That's right near Golan Heights. That's right in that area of Lebanon. And their capital city was called Ashtaroth Naim, right? The city of Bashan. And they were the worshippers of the two-horned goddess Ashtaroth, Astarte, and Diana, all of those. And they were so-called moon and sun worshippers, right? And they worshipped Baal as well. And you know, those cults, they were some of the oldest aboriginal cults.
This is a really good question, Rob.
How powerful are these
This
beings?
is from Eric.
Yeah. Right. How powerful are these beings if they had to
I'll read it out. He says, how powerful are these beings?
No, I think they had power.
Yeah, sorry. Is it power parasitism?
Yeah, I think they had power to begin with. The sacrifices were done for other reasons. Not to gain power, but to create things and to appease certain energies of the cosmos, right? So, like their descendants would do sacrifices if certain things, you know, they depended, like in one. So if some of their not, say one of their monuments was knocked down by lightning or destroyed by fire by lightning or something like that, they would think that the gods were pissed, right? And they would do sacrifices accordingly or something like that, right? So there's different reasons why they did sacrifices. I don't think it was most likely to gain power, but to open doorways. I think it was to open doorways. When you use blood and you use different types of rituals, you're opening doorways and gateways. And I think that's why they were using them. Oh, now she's talking about a doorway. Naxos Island in Greece has a large doorway to the sea.
This is a pretty interesting comment. This is from Ocean. She says, Naxos Island in Greece. Yeah. Yeah, it's Yeah, she said. I don't know. Yeah, that's insane. Like, does it go into the sea then, Raw? Like these doorways is that she's talking about?
Yeah, that's interesting. Very interesting. And plus, when it was
I'm
made,
trying to picture this.
yeah, I don't know exactly the spot that she's talking about. Uh, but yeah, I mean, plus the sea levels when it was made was probably at a different level as well. You know, so is it a doorway leading down into the sea or leading out of the sea? Oh, the Temple of Apollo.
She
Yes.
says it's the Temple of Apollo. That's pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Well, you know, a lot of times the
It's
models that they do
yeah.
with sun gods also has to do with water gods, you know, because they're literally talking about the cosmic waters. It's a model, a metaphor, and a model that they use in their temples for the sun and the cosmic waters, right? So it probably is a temple related to that. Yeah, the internet sucks tonight.
Wow, this is yeah, it does. Maybe we should just finish up and like yeah, and but dude, thanks for trying to stick with it. You know what I mean? At least we tried. You know, it was worth.
Yeah, no
At least
doubt.
we gave it a shot. You know, like it was.
We'll
I
do,
think we still had a good show. You know. Yeah.
yeah, we'll do a show in a couple of days again. We'll hopefully everything will be all right with the internet. Thank you, everybody. Go to the mysticalspiralstore.com.
Did you want to tell them about the crystal show we're going to be doing? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. We're going to be doing a crystal show, everybody. So once a week, me and Rob will get it down what day. Once a week, we're going to do where we have crystals and you guys can buy them. We'll like auction them off. You guys can claim them in the chat room, and we'll do all different little crystals, big crystals, all different ones, like little different crystal. Like if you want little crystals, big crystals, and we'll auction them off in the chat room where you guys can claim them, and Rob will of course get a percentage of it as well. So it'll be good for everybody, and we'll do that once a week, and we'll also do our once a month show, a topic as well. So don't forget, everybody, the mysticalspiralstore.com. Use that code. Use that code. Thank you, everybody. Spiral out.
All right, guys. That was raw and like yeah. So yeah, I am gonna be on another show tonight, guys. For you that want to tune in, it's on let me pull up the details so you guys know. Jason found the link, so it's on why did I okay, so it was Mark Eddy who threw it, but it's on Barbara DeLong's channel. So on Barbara DeLong, I'll be on Barbara DeLong and yeah, it's called Light Talk or Light, and it's about a conference that I'm doing here in Pittsburgh. We're doing a conference here in Pittsburgh. I do it every year. Sometimes we do it twice a year. You guys have seen like Fred used to be a part of it, and then we lost Fred, so like it's kind of sad, but I think there'll be on like 6 of us on tonight. And I don't really have a big role in this podcast because I'm just going to be like live streaming, the event. So like I'm not on the panel, but I mean I live stream every show, so it's it's every one of these that I do, so it should be good. And like I said, Jason found the link. Here's the link right here, guys. If you want to tune in tonight, that'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern, and then I'm done for the night. Then I'd like to start working out. I think I'm going to dedicate a lot more time to like working out this and stuff like that. And I can't wait for this Mercury retrograde to fucking end, honestly. It's been a bit. I'm telling you, this Mercury retrograde is like nothing a problem. I'm not blaming it on that. It's just like a fact. You know what I mean? It's just been like crazy. I'm telling you guys, it's been insane. Like, being sick, for a week and a half, and then, like issues popping up here and there with this and that, arguments with people. I don't even like to argue with people. I hate arguing with people. You know what I mean? I just like to get along with everybody, honestly. And I'm not trying to sound like, I don't know. Like, so like, I'm just hoping that like, this Mercury retrograde ends soon. I want things to go back to normal. So, Derek says, let's hang out for one more minute, guys. Derek says the Doomsday plane has been deployed to the Middle East. That's not good. That's not good. That's not good. Do we have anything to credibly back that up? Derek, or what did they say? Thanks, Derek. That was nice of you to say that. Okay, I guess I'll just hang. I guess I'm gonna get off now, guys. I'll see you guys at 9 p.m. Eastern on the other show, and yeah, and he says it's just a plane that carries nuclear bombs. I mean, escalated pretty quickly. You know what I mean? Holy shit! Like, no. So by the way, guys, the red light you're seeing in here tonight is that's like red light. That's for red light therapy. Like I got a red light therapy light because I got a sauna on Amazon, and I was trying to put it together today, and it's like impossible to put together. So I just brought the red light up in my studio, and I'm using the red light, and I figured you guys can too. So really, the red light, red light therapy, and it's infrared, you know, cut out. I'm hoping that it'll be part of this um this sauna that I bought off of a couple weeks ago. I'd like to start sweating, a lot and stuff like that. And I don't know, like, and getting in shape and getting back in shape once and for all. Yeah. So, all right, that's enough chat. I'll see you guys. Go to Castaldo's YouTube channel and subscribe. And thank you all. And I will see you. I will see you all soon. And I'm supposed to have tomorrow. I'm supposed to have Carrie Cassidy, and I'm also supposed to have Pink Bella Aloha. I know Pink Bella confirmed, that's for sure, but Carrie Cassidy hasn't confirmed yet, so I'm not sure if that's going to happen. We'll see, to be determined. But she's usually pretty good with it. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's what's on schedule for tomorrow. So, all right, I'll see you guys all later. Have a good night, everyone. All right, bye.